And I'm fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Thank you for joining us on this day of protest on the Nikki Medoro Show. In just a moment, we will go live. I've been following both ABC7 and KTVU. If you don't know what's going on, the Bay Bridge is shut down heading into San Francisco by a bunch of protesters. There's also a huge protest planned at Starbucks around the country on this Red Cup Day, which is something that I don't know, Kim, if you participate in something like this. Apparently, you buy any hot drink from Starbucks on Red Cup Day, and then you get a reusable cup. I don't know. I'm not that big of a Starbucks fan. But they're using that as a day of protest again today. It's even bigger than, I guess, when it started last year. But let's go. Click the thumbs up button. Let me just do this real quickly. Click the thumbs up button. Show your support of the show. The super chat is also live. And of course, our Patreon is live as well. It's the way we support this show. The Nikki Medoro Show at the Nikki Medoro Show.com is where you get the link. But I do want to just hurry to the live reports regarding the protests. And this has to do with the fact that, of course, APEC is in town. And, to kind of bring attention to the conflict still going on and calling for a ceasefire in Palestine. Let me just make sure that there we go, that everything is live.
They've chained themselves to cars.
Yeah.
They're waving signs that say, "Stop the genocide."
Yeah.
Police are there. The traffic is at a standstill. Yeah, let's watch.
This is from KTVU.
As you can tell, the protest is still going in earnest right now. Let's turn things over to Sal Castaneda now. Sal, traffic,
of course he goes to traffic.
Westbound is shut down. Traffic going east.
Obviously,
seems to be moving.
If you're caught in this and you know that it's going on, right? And I don't think it took anybody a big stretch to understand why this was happening. Let's just mute this for just a second, but you could see the Bay Bridge right there. Obviously, I was listening I've been following it all morning since it broke, and they were interviewing people stuck in their cars, and they're like, "Do you have any idea why this is happening?" They're like, "Yeah, it's pretty obvious why it's happening." Now, of course, President Biden and China's president met yesterday, but they're calling for this ceasefire, and I was kind of surprised. Usually, when shutdowns of bridges and things that impact commutes happen, you hear a lot of people pissed off about it. I was on Twitter, and of course, this is totally anecdotal based on my feed, and of course, who KTVU and ABC7 were interviewing. But a lot of them were kind of one woman was really impressed with how quickly and organized it was, and two, a lot of support for what they're doing, and to bring attention. Now, tomorrow, we're going to be starting a new kind of regular feature on the Nikki Medoro Show, and our good friend John Rothman is going to be coming on and doing kind of a political roundup on Fridays, kind of what's happened and kind of a look ahead to the following week, because it seems like politics moves at the speed of light these days. And so I know he has a lot to say, obviously, about the conflict and APEC and everything like that. I don't know how long it's going to last. I think everybody was holding their breath on, whether or not this was going to last all day long. Let's go to ABC7, actually. Let's look at ABC7's report, because they're actually live again on the bridge. I just want to, because when I was watching the officers moving in on some of the protesters, so you see there's nobody on the bridge on the picture to your left. And so it's hard because their cameras keep stalling because of, but there we go. Let's listen there. Yeah, it's just, it keeps glitching, unfortunately. But the CHP officers were slowly walking these protesters down, and you're just holding your breath, hoping that something doesn't obviously erupt. Right, you don't want anything to erupt.
One they're going to open.
Yeah, and some people were saying, how did this happen when there are apparently CHP officers every 500 feet or so? You know, if you start in one location and you're all in a car behind each other, I could totally see how it's organized, right? I mean, you all drive together, you all stop, and then you all get out of your car. So I don't think that this is necessarily a failure of the security. I just think that it was highly organized. Okay, let's just leave that because we're not really seeing that much. I do have some other videos that I can show you.
Well, it's going to be hard for them to walk people back if they're chained to vehicles.
Right, exactly. Well, that's the whole trick, right? And you don't want to use excessive force. And also, the eyes of the world are on you. So AROC Bay Area started tweeting right at the beginning of this. And so they posted some videos. So let me show you some of theirs. So this is a quick one right here. That's what it looked like earlier. They've since rolled up those signs. See how the cars are all lined up? They did this. This was organized. It's definitely one of those things where, okay, what are you going to do in that situation? You have to, obviously, we're a democracy. Your First Amendment right to protest. I have one more video that I can show you as well, just to kind of give you a better look.
People from other countries that are here for APEC,
that
where the protesting is not allowed in China, right? They're probably looking at us going, "You guys are nuts." Well, this is a democracy in action, people.
Exactly. The people, like, it's a die-in. You see people there on the ground. They're calling for the ceasefire. Obviously.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
You know, and obviously, you know, you respect the show of democracy. And I'm not making light of what they do. Every time I see protests like this that get me caught in traffic or people caught in traffic, I always go, God, what if I have to like go to the bathroom or something? I'm like, I support your cause, but can I go? Can I get around? Yeah, it's yeah, John says protest peacefully, don't harm other people. That's true. They're not harming anybody. I mean, they're obviously backing up traffic. People can't go to work. That's true. Harm. I guess we can argue about that. I mean, do you think that this is, look, protests in and of itself are supposed to be disruptive. If it's not disruptive, then is it truly a protest? You know, I could stand in front of my house and not bother. I could stand in the middle of my house, yell and scream with a sign. But if nobody's paying attention to me or nobody hears my voice or they're not, you know, disrupted in some way, it's not going to have the same impact.
There's someone in the traffic that has to pick up a minor child at SFO, probably. There's someone backed up in the traffic that may be pregnant and headed toward the hospital, or someone that didn't call an ambulance because they thought, oh, we'll just go, we can make it. And then they get caught up in this. So you don't know if you're affecting someone's health or safety by doing something like this.
Well, I'll push back a little on the, you know, medical emergency. There is still that one lane that should be open. That's how the CHP got there so quickly, is because that lane was blocked by CHP. And from what I understand, at least from the traffic reports, that was open, and that's how they were able to get there so quickly. So I would assume that if someone was having a medical emergency, they could get to them quickly. I would hope. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, what if I'm in labor or something? I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I'd be crossing the Bay Bridge. I would hope. But you never know where labor happens. So, you know,
I did it.
I don't know.
I mean, my water broke and I didn't go to Petaluma Valley Hospital, which recently got a D on the hospital report list.
Oh, no.
I went to UCSF, right?
Oh, you did?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How long of a drive was that for you?
It was maybe 45 minutes.
And you went into labor at home and drove all the way over there?
I wasn't technically in labor, but my water broke.
Well, that's labor to me. I never had that moment. You know, they always broke my water in both of my pregnancies. I thought I was about to have the kid, and it took Marley took 2 days.
Oh man.
I swear to God, man, I'm telling you.
So I agree that in some cases that with the theory, well, if it isn't painful, if we don't stop traffic to make a point, if we don't stop everything, then if it's not painful, you don't feel it, right? And you just drive on by as we're standing on the sidewalk and you honk, but there's no real there.
Right.
On the other hand, though, you could be affecting someone's safety, someone's health. And so I think the police have to clear it out.
Oh yeah, no, and obviously, I just don't want it to, devolve into violence because there has been violence. So yesterday, I mean, I obviously didn't know that today was going to happen when I was planning for today's show, but there was another protest yesterday in San Francisco. This is all surrounding APEC because obviously there's so much attention. So on 5th and Mission Streets yesterday morning, there was a fight. A woman got punched. Let's listen to a little. And, I understand heightened tensions and things like that, but here's a little report from KTVU.
Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit has brought out thousands of protesters, hundreds shutting down this intersection at 5th and Mission Streets Wednesday morning. Blocking dignitaries and attendees from making it to Moscone Center for the summit.
We're sending a message that the people of the world, the people here in San Francisco, don't agree with these neoliberal policies that are taking place at the expense of the working class peoples, the suffering peoples, the poor peoples of these different countries.
Nearly 200 groups make up the No to APEC coalition, concerned key issues facing the 21 economies are being ignored or misrepresented.
We're really worried about the climate crisis, and what we've seen from APEC so far is that they're not really making that a priority, and the way in which they're using the term sustainability feels very much like greenwashing, because we're not actually seeing any plans to transition away from fossil fuels, which we know is the leading cause of climate change.
The overall goal is to defend human rights, which are dangerously threatened by the policies that APEC promotes. What APEC in practice does is reduce people's living standards and expose them to human rights violations.
Down Market Street, dozens of Falun Gong supporters are calling for an end to imprisonment, torture, and persecution that they say has been happening at the hands of the Chinese government for decades.
Persecuting Falun Gong means persecuting truth, compassion, and tolerance. Think about it. This is not normal. This is not human, right?
Political messages about wars, annexation, occupation, and immigration are seen and heard as motorcades twist and turn through the streets over barriers and around fences.
It's scary. It looks like a zombie place, or trying to keep people away from here.
It's what some call the exclusion zone that's negatively affecting some small businesses.
And we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit, about the impact APEC's had for businesses inside that exclusion zone. But do you think at an event like APEC, and you just heard it, and the reason I wanted to play that report is all the different protests and where they were focusing on, do you think it dilutes all of the protests when there's so many protests to talking about so many different things? I was asking you, Kim.
Do I think that it dilutes the protests? No.
Well, yeah, because there's so many different topics. You know what I mean?
Has a point to make. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think so. I don't. I mean, I think it's okay to use an event like this to be heard. I think the spotlight is on San Francisco, and so you
have to,
especially since this event really does focus on climate change as part of what the world leaders are talking about. We saw yesterday that President Biden and China's Xi Jinping, made a deal to talk about climate change and talk about so no, I don't think so, especially since also you have big protests like this, on the Bay Bridge, that their message isn't being diluted by the fact that there's other protesters as well.
Yeah. And, as far as the climate change, apparently the message was, we should be able to work together and figure out competition and climate change. Xi Jinping told Biden, planet Earth is big enough for two countries to succeed. Biden responding, I think it's paramount that you and I understand each other clearly, leader to leader, with no misconceptions or miscommunications. We have to ensure competition does not veer into conflict. And, China and the United States, it's hard when, politically China is used, even the word China is weaponized as a negative, right? And yet our economies both depend on each other. Go ahead, look inside your house. I'm sure so many things are made in China. I know that President Biden has really worked with the CHIPS Act and other things to bring a lot of manufacturing back to the United States. That's going to take time. You can't just build manufacturing in every aspect of our lives. But yeah, it's definitely getting heated. I understand, why people are so upset about different things, but this one fight that happened, let me see if I have the video. I have the video right here. Very confusing. So anybody apparently yesterday that had a badge was being targeted by these protesters, and it ended up with one woman getting socked in the mouth. Now, I keep looking at this video. I don't see anybody definitely being hit, but here's a little bit of a tussle. Here we go. This guy right here with the badge. So apparently he hit somebody, and then this woman's yelling at him. And she's like, people over profit. And now, when I see this, I didn't see the lead up. Do they know who this is? This guy, not saying he's right or wrong, but who is he? Do we know? Are we just yelling at people? Apparently, he was a volunteer for APEC, and then he ends up getting arrested. You see him here being sat down on the curb, and he gets arrested. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's not President Biden. I understand protesting. I understand, wanting to bring attention to things. Sometimes, though, I feel like they're targeting everybody. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Who's this guy? Like, why do we care about this guy? So here's a picture of him. And the woman right there who's in the middle, not the woman with the mask on and not the cop, but the woman right there in the middle. Apparently, she was the one that was hit. And they were taking her away. I at least according to the Chronicle article that I read. But yeah, and again, we have a few more days left of APEC, although yesterday was the apex, right? Because of the Xi and Biden meeting. But there's still much more happening. And then I think they're going to start opening up the roads Friday night into Saturday morning. And then we'll see what happens. But businesses I bet businesses are really, really excited for APEC.
They're not.
For APEC to end is what I was about to
end.
say.
Yes, for APEC to end. Yes, they can't wait.
Yeah, some of these restaurants didn't even open. I was reading this one article, Wine Down. It's a street bar or a bar on Folsom Street. It's inside the security zone, and they're like, we are not going to get any business. I wish, and I don't even know if logistically this would work, but why can't they use the food, especially, or the wine or the services or something, like hire the people within the exclusion zone to provide services to APEC? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to exclude people from even coming in, no one's going to go to a restaurant and have to go through a checkpoint, right? I mean, they'll just go somewhere else. That nobody wants the hassle of doing it. And yeah, let's see. Wine Down Batter Bakery was shuttering its downtown kiosk on California Street. Other San Francisco restaurants are seeing sales dip by as much as 70% because of cancellations. And that sucks. I mean, it has to be hard for businesses right now. The Metreon, all the businesses inside the Metreon also being impacted. Bonchon is inside there. They interviewed one person from there and apparently was leading the charge for advocating for businesses inside the Metreon. He was quoted as saying, people are saying it'll just be 3 days. That perimeter fence went up November 14th, but it actually went up on November 10th. So not just 3 days. Yeah, no, if you're just driving around San Francisco and you have an option of going this way or that way, fence or no fence, you're going no fence. That's just freaking obvious.
I guess, and here's the question. So it came at great expense to shuffle away the homeless and hose down the city, right? Clean everything up, put up the barricades, have, police, sheriffs, whomever else come out, probably overtime.
Right.
The businesses don't benefit. The streets are closed. The traffic is affected by all the protests. The question I have is it worth it to host something like this in San Francisco?
Well, I mean, it has to happen someplace, right?
Do we want it here? Because next time I'd lobby to have it anywhere else.
Well, yeah, I highly doubt it would be here again. I'm assuming this is especially because it brings international leaders, it will likely be somewhere else in the world, right? So I don't know the history of all the locations for this type of conference, but Mayor London Breed had said yesterday that we hadn't had or hosted an event like this since the UN was created. So I don't imagine that this is going to be a regular thing. Although I would argue huge events like this, right? Here's a great question. Should we want more events like this if it means San Francisco gets cleaned up? It's kind of like when your kid asks you to have a slumber party and you're like, okay, you can only do it if you clean your room. And then the room is like spotless. And you're like, well, shoot, let's just have slumber parties every weekend because at least it keeps the room clean. Like it's a pain in the ass because you have all these people in your house. But on the other hand, some problems get solved because you're on the world stage. So which one do you want? Right. So I don't know. I'm happy to see San Francisco cleaned up. Loved all those images we were seeing yesterday of the clean streets and the laser lights. And next week is going to be interesting. The week after that's going to be interesting. You're already seeing the before and during APEC pictures. We're going to see APEC and after pictures. And I think Mayor London Breed better be really aware of how that is going to look to people because it's not going to be good. All right, let's do some headlines. We'll give some other headlines. I know we did the big headlines of the morning right now with this strike. Also coming up, we want to talk, of course, about the GOP implosion, which continues to happen. Again, I am totally biased against the Republican Party. I think I make myself extremely clear, and I want to be clear. I wish other people would just be clear about their bias. I think they're a complete S show. I don't think they do anything good for this country. But it was a Republican congressman from freaking Texas that made my point even better. So I will play you that video as well. Jefferson Graham is going to join us for the second part of the show, and he has those. If you don't want to hire a photographer for the holiday season, but you need like family pictures, he has a bunch of examples of what you should and should not do. And then how can we make San Francisco, speaking of San Francisco, better? I don't know if you've touched on this on your other shows, Cam, but the 10 Big Ideas Project, have you read about that?
No.
Okay, so they have, apparently this started a little while ago. They put out these 10 big ideas. One is actually underway. I'll go through the other ones. You guys tell me what you think. And then, of course, one of the most amazing things that San Francisco ever did. And we'll look back on that as well. All right. Click the thumbs up button, you guys. Show the support for the show. I know I kind of rushed through it at the beginning, but we really depend on you guys to keep the show going. A thumbs up is a free, easy thing you could do every single time. And here's Kim with some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Again, this humongous Israel-Hamas protest on the San Francisco Bay Bridge is bringing traffic completely to a standstill at this hour. The protesters have chained themselves to cars. They're waving signs that say "Stop the Genocide." We saw pictures of people lying on the road in a die-in. Police are on the scene. All the westbound lanes of traffic heading into San Francisco on 80 are blocked. The morning commute, it's done. It's done for on the Bay Bridge. The war between Israel and Hamas, meanwhile, is now in its 41st day, and Israeli forces stormed Gaza's main hospital, saying they found weapons and a laptop with a photo of a kidnapped Israeli soldier on it. This comes as President Biden said he doesn't believe the war will end until there is a two-state solution. President Biden also says he believes Chinese President Xi Jinping is a dictator. The president asked whether he would still refer to Xi as such following a high-stakes meeting with the Chinese leader in Woodside yesterday at the Filoli Mansion. Biden said Xi is a dictator in the sense that he runs a communist country based on a form of government totally different than ours. New York Congressman George Santos says he will not be seeking re-election after the House Ethics Committee released a scathing report today. The committee put forth an expulsion resolution tomorrow, but apparently it's not expected for a vote until after Thanksgiving. This comes after they unanimously agreed that there was substantial wrongdoing by this Republican who represents parts of Long Island and Queens. It is the 47th annual Great American Smokeout. Thousands of Americans are taking their first steps toward quitting smoking.
I thought we were talking about smoking weed. No.
Just kidding.
I know what it is.
The initiative happens the third Thursday in November every single year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I love this. I always encourage people to quit smoking. It is not an easy thing to do. I did it a very long time ago. It's hard. So let's see. Marley is Marley is 15. She was probably, I would say I'm like about 10 years in, I guess. I don't even remember the date. I know the date. It's the day after my sister-in-law got married. I just can never remember what that is. Is the last time I had nicotine in my system. I had quit smoking cigarettes about 3 months before that, but no more nicotine in my system. Yeah, probably about 10 years ago. It's not easy. And I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, do not start, because there will be a point where you want to quit, and it's so freaking difficult. So good luck. Everybody that smokes, give it a shot. And if you fail, just try again the next day. You know what I mean? It's not easy though. Does anyone in your family smoke, Kim?
No.
Well, that's good. That's good.
It is good, because my dad smoked when I was little.
Oh, okay.
And he stopped. Nobody smokes currently, but I've read that, and I'm thinking it's kind of common knowledge that if there's someone in your family that smokes, if you're around a smoker a lot as a kid, that your chances of becoming a smoker increase.
Yeah. No one in my family while I was alive smoked. My dad was a heavy smoker, but he quit way before he even married my mom. But he was like a pack a day kind of guy. You know what I mean? And so was I, but James vapes. And I always talk to my kids very honestly about it. I go, the reason, like, you see how much dad has talked about wanting to quit vaping and he can't do it. So think about that, right? Like, you don't need to go through that hell. And I hope my kids never smoke. I mean, I don't know. I think it is one of the most annoying things I tell them is don't, because kids are vaping left and right all over the place. So
you would think that would be different though, if they saw him struggle. Then my whole mantra to my kids of, well, if you never start, you never have to stop.
Have to quit. Exactly.
It's like, there it is playing out right in front of you. You can see how, firsthand how it's difficult this is. You don't want to be in that position. So I don't know why you're more likely to smoke if your parents
it's just the influence. I mean, my best friend at the time, I'll say it like this. I started smoking with my friend whose mom smoked, drove in the car with us while she smoked. I remember this vivid memory. We were in the backseat of her station wagon. It was one of those station wagons. I forget the name and the make and model, but it's the one that had the wood paneling. You guys know what it's like, the typical like 80s, 90s station wagon.
We call those the Brady Bunch mobile.
Yes, exactly. And she drove her mom drove one of them, and she smoked tough. And so what happens is, one, cigarettes are readily available because you could just sneak one out of the pack, right? Which is what we would do. Right. And two, like, we were in the car all the time with her, and she smoked in the car. This was back in the day. Right. And so, and I remember this one time we were like breathing in because we just needed to have the cigarette smoke because we were idiots. I know. And her mom was like, stop it. Yep. Chris, you're right. It was a Vista Cruiser. She's like, stop it. Both of you, just stop it. And I'm like, we were just like getting yelled at. But yeah, that's how I started smoking. I remember vividly driving in the car. My brother picked me up, and I thought that he would think I was cool. I'm not even kidding. I thought, Kim, that my brother would think I was cool if he saw my pack of cigarettes, and he was so freaking pissed off. He like yelled. I'll never forget. He was driving me home. He had picked me up from my friend's house, and he's like, "What are you doing? Blah 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 blah. You're such a moron. Blah 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 blah." And not that it mattered to his younger sister that I was like, man, let's shut up. So yeah, I smoked pretty much from when I was 14 years old.
Oh my God.
Until I was,
imagine that's the age our daughters
30 something. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if Marley was doing that, would you not take her by the back?
Oh, I would beat the living her. Not literally, but I would bring her out. You know what I mean? Like, no. And it was also a different time back then. I'm not saying it was that old, like we didn't know, but I don't know. It just seemed like everybody smoked. And now I feel like vaping is even more dangerous just because you can hide it so much easier. Believe me, my parents knew when I was smoking cigarettes because I stunk to high heaven. Vaping, what, you smell like Fruity Pebbles or something? I have no idea. So yeah, it's not. My husband doesn't
think
smell.
It can be odorless, can't it?
Well, I mean, they have flavor, but my husband doesn't smell. He can come home. Now, if he does, my husband has occasionally, like, if we're out drinking, and it pisses me off, but he's a grown-ass man. He'll have a cigarette, and he looks at me, and I'm like, how dare you? I'm like, great. I'm like, I guess you're not getting any kisses tonight because you stink. So, but it's gross. Yeah, smoking is gross, and vaping is dangerous. So,
There has been an arrest in connection with a Jewish protester who died after an alleged argument with a pro-Palestinian demonstrator. This happened in Southern California. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office announced that 50-year-old Loe Al-Naji of Moore Park was arrested this morning and charged with involuntary manslaughter. Al-Naji is being held on $1 million bail. 69-year-old Paul Kessler died after this November 5th confrontation. There was a discrepancy as to whether he was pushed and fell and hit his head, or whether somehow he stumbled backwards on his own and hit his head. And the Ventura County medical examiner declared that Kessler died of blunt force head trauma, and the manner of the death was homicide. A man arrested Tuesday after a 2-hour standoff with police at Taco Bell in Petaluma. Yes, it happened. This man was apparently trying to hit customers with a beer bottle. Officers arrived. They find this man sitting in a booth at Taco Bell holding the bottle. Later identified as 49-year-old Damian Grissom. He ignored officers' request to drop the bottle. He apparently had been in the Taco Bell for hours, had lunged at a worker as they were leaving the bathroom, then continued swinging the bottle around at other people in the restaurant. They had to call in a crisis intervention specialist to get this man to drop the glass bottle. They worked on it for 2 hours. Finally, the guy goes in there into the restaurant at 3 p.m., right? The police are called at about 7. At 9:10, he tries to walk out of the restaurant. Police then take the bottle from him and handcuff him.
Yeah.
The whole road was closed. There was a Nixle alert sent out. Avoid the area near the Taco Bell. Nobody was injured. Police lifted the advisory. Grissom arrested on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon, violating a parole order. He was taken to a hospital before he was taken to jail. And now that's where he is. Jail.
Kim Schaffer wrote, I wonder if that's the same guy that threatened my friend in the Petaluma Taco Bell several months ago. Maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Do we have a picture of the guy?
I do not, but apparently he has a history of such things.
Oh, geez.
Sephora has become the latest company to act against shoplifters nationwide, the company announcing they'll be removing all perfume and fragrances from the shelves. Instead, customers will have only sample bottles on display. Try stealing that. Ha!
Well, you can. Okay, Kim, thanks. Sample bottles, I'm assuming, are really tiny, so it's not that big of a difference.
They're already used. You can't resell those. Nobody wants a used perfume bottle, do they?
A little bit of, you're right.
Maybe.
You're right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you want to purchase something, you try the sample, and then you have an employee grab it from the back.
That makes sense. That's where we're moving, people. We can't be trusted. You know what I mean?
They're probably going to have more workers on hand to, do that, because everyone's going to have to be running in the back and forth with little shopping bags. Sephora tells CNN the move is made to minimize the threats of retail theft. The National Retailers Federation estimates close to $80 billion were lost last year to retail theft.
Well, I know I went to Walgreens the other day with my daughter, and I just wanted to get new mascara, and it pisses me off that I have to get, and it's not as if they have a lot of staff. Like Walgreens they have somebody, maybe 2 workers, right? And it's annoying. And I felt bad because I had gone there earlier in the day to pick up some pictures, and then I went back with Marley because she needed something. All I wanted was the mascara. And this is the thing. It's a cycle, right? So you stand there, and I was tempted to be like, screw it, I'm just leaving. I'll go to Target because my Target doesn't lock all this crap up, right? And so, but I didn't. I stood there and I went up to the lady, and she came, but she had to help people. You know what I mean? And then she had to come get me. And then Walgreens will be like, our business is down, so we're leaving because nobody wants to come. Well, no, it's because nobody wants to wait. People just want to shop. They want to take things off the shelf and put it in there. I'm telling you, I think online, going to Walgreens.com, picking what I want, having, them telling me, okay, at 3:20, your bag of goods will be ready. And then I go in, they hand it to me, and I walk out. That's what's I feel is the answer to this, unless they have like some more staff to handle giving people their items. It pisses me off when I go to like the grocery store and I have to hit the button and like to get a bottle of liquor out of the thing. I'm like, son of a poop, I'll just freaking go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Sucks.
update on the Bay Bridge.
Oh,
Arrests are underway as we speak. Police are arresting these protesters on the Bay Bridge who blocked all westbound lanes, stopping the commute into San Francisco. Again, protesters are being arrested currently after blocking the Bay Bridge. So that is the current situation, as traffic is still blocked, but people are being taken off of the bridge now.
Well, let me see if I can bring it up real quickly. Here we go. I'm going to ABC 7.
And a half right at the beginning of the bridge. It was right before 8 when I got stuck. And then I noticed that people were able, if they were at the beginning of the bridge and not quite in the middle or on the bridge, that
you know how long they're going to be there before they can actually get out of that jam, even if they move these people out?
Take the exit and come back around. But in all honesty, I was stuck there. I missed my medical appointment.
Oh, there we go.
I took today off for work to go to my appointment. But at the same time, I understand why they're doing it. I really support the protesters, and I applaud what they're doing right now.
Every day at ABC. Oh, well, screw you, ABC 7. All right. Well, but did you hear what she said, right? That's what I've been hearing so many times. Like, this sucks. I missed something, but I do support what they're doing, which is interesting. You don't often hear that during these types of protests, especially on the Bay Bridge when it impacts so many people. Now, again, that is anecdotal. They could have interviewed somebody 2 cars back that's pissed off and thinks this is the worst idea ever, right? So, but it's just interesting that we have heard that multiple times.
State regulators today set to decide whether PG&E can raise its rates again. So the California Public Utilities Commission has 2 plans in front of them. Both of the plans involve a rate hike. Okay?
Yeah, we're having a rate hike no matter what.
We're paying more. It's just how much more.
It's how they're going to sell us the BS rate hike. That's what it is.
One proposal would increase the customer's monthly bill by about $31 a month. So that's a 12.5% increase. The other would bump up the monthly bill by about $32. So that's a 12.8% increase. Whatever.
It's lame.
PG&E has to get approval from state regulators on its budget for the next 4 years. They're saying that PG&E, because of inflation and the cost to either insulate or put more of its power lines underground, they've got to have more money to do all this.
Oh, yes. More of our money. But who's making sure that they're using our money appropriately? Just to remind you, I'm trying. I was going to check my email. She hasn't responded yet. I'm trying to get Loretta Lynch to come on with us tomorrow to kind of explain this whole thing. If not tomorrow, then hopefully next week. But yeah, it's when does it stop? When does it stop? When do they just say, no, you can't. You're going to have to make do, figure it out, move money around, give less to the shareholders. It's always us that get it in the shorts. Pisses me off.
By law, PG&E by law is allowed to pass on the cost of safety increases to ratepayers. Initially, they wanted a $15 billion budget. CPUC said that's too much. They cut about $2 billion off of it, and then they proposed these 2 budget options. They were supposed to look at it earlier this month, but it was postponed till today. So we'll see how it goes and which one. I mean, at this point, doesn't matter. We're just paying.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, and I say this 12% to 12.8, and if they try to, if they do the 12.8, I don't know why, but it's just going to piss me off even more. You could have saved us some money, but you didn't even want to do that. But even if you try to sell me a line like, well, we decided to go with the lower rate hike because we understand hard economic times screw you. And Laura, you're absolutely right. Like, we should be protesting. Where should we protest? I mean, I say outside Governor Newsom's door, in all honesty. It's just I get so upset. And again, I did in the last time we had Loretta Lynch, I had posted all of the things on our page of, calling the governor and all that, but we knew it was going to fall on deaf ears. We knew it was going to fall on deaf ears. We knew this was going to come. This hasn't changed, but again, hopefully Loretta Lynch can rejoin us, explain what's happening, explain the law, and explain, what we can actually do as consumers, if anything, to avoid this from happening again and again and again.
We'll end it on a happy note.
Oh, please.
One of Disney's most popular franchises will be getting a 4th film. CEO Bob Iger saying on Good Morning America today that Disney Animation is working on a story for Frozen 4.
Oh, really? I don't know. I'm kind of frozened out.
Let it go.
Aren't you? I mean, do we need another Frozen? Is this something that we need?
Well, Disney had previously confirmed a third installment is in the works. The original Frozen movie, released in 2013, followed by Frozen 2 in 2019, combined for a total worldwide box office of more than $2.7 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those movies, though, they do rake in the money, so people like them.
I mean, you have to have those movies because the little kids love it, right? Get a fresh one every generation. Get a
generation. I mean, have we already changed generation from the first Frozen?
I mean, every 5 minutes. Hong Kong Disneyland Resort, by the way, is debuting its new World of Frozen Land next week. That should be cool.
I mean, I like Frozen. I really do. I liked the movies. I just, again, we keep going back to, can you not come up with any new ideas? My kids are so stoked about the Trolls movie that's being released tomorrow.
Yeah.
So stoked. I was watching a movie with my daughter last night, and she's like, oh, the Trolls movie is, and she's 15 years old.
Yeah, but the music is really good. They remember the music, right?
Yeah, that's what they really, really love. And so I'm excited about the new Hunger Games, but I think I'm going to be kind of voted out. Although I don't know if we're going to be able to see it this weekend. My husband's birthday is coming up next week, so we kind of have a jam-packed weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see if maybe a drive-ins, or I feel like Trolls is the perfect drive-ins movie because it's bright. Cartoons are great at the drive-ins, so maybe we'll squeeze that in at some point.
That sounds fun.
Yes, maybe
Also, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
I was just stepping all over you today. This report is sponsored by you, which means that yes, that girl I'm stepping all over, that's the Nikki Medoro of the Nikki Medoro Show.com. The Nikki Medoro Show.com. This is where the Patreon link is, and the PayPal link, and the link to the Nikki merchandise shop, the Nikki Medoro Shop.com. Yeah. But you don't have to remember that because it's all at the Nikki Medoro Show.com. Yep. All like a whole one-stop shopping cart there for you. Anyway, we appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you so much, and thanks for spending your morning with us as well. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you to everybody that signs up to become an official Medorable. Okay, I was wrong. It wasn't about the car my friends drove, so that is the Vista Cruiser. It does have wood paneling, but somebody else corrected me. This was the one I was talking about, the Country Squire.
This is the one my mom had, and the seats in the back flipped up and faced each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I always remember like making sure my best friend was coming and always looking for that wood paneling, right? And then it was like, not that wood paneling, not that car with wood paneling. It was just like every car had it. And I just wonder what it'll be for our kids. Like, what is the car that everybody's parents seem to have? I would say maybe a Prius if you're in the Bay Area, a Tesla kind of, although I don't know. I mean, I know people with Teslas, but I don't know about driving the kids to school or anything like that. I don't know what ours would.
Julia has high hopes. Pipe dreams, we'll call them.
Oh, for what she's going to get as
a
car
she's going to get as a teenager. And I keep saying, nope. You're going to get, if you get anything, it will be the old car that we have in the driveway.
Exactly. Do you like any of the cars you've been driving in for your whole life? Because that's the one you're going to drive.
You're getting.
If anyone's getting a new car, it's me or your dad. Like, that's it.
She has it in her mind that when she turns 16, she's going to get a Jeep.
Yeah, no, sweetheart. No. I mean, what if she saved her money though? Could she get a Jeep? Would you like do something to help her get the Jeep?
I would say perhaps, though I would try to talk her out of it because they're not very friendly to the world.
Oh, Jeeps aren't,
No,
like
I mean, they're a gas guzzler, right?
Yeah, fossil fuels and things like that. Yeah, my kid's going to get my Prius. That's it. I've said it a million. I take very good care of my car. Very good care of my car. So it should definitely be around for another year or two, right? And it's economical. I know every time I look at my daughter and she's like, and I go, look, when you have to pay for your own gas, which you will have to, when you go get a job, you're going to love that you get 52, 53 miles per gallon, right? Go ahead, borrow grandma's, because she's like, I like grandma's car, because my mom has like a kind of like a sports car looking thing. And I go, one, that's an old ass car. It's way older, but she has no miles on it because my mom stopped driving. But also it's whenever I do drive it, 20 something miles per gallon. Like, why would you want to drive a car like that? That doesn't make any sense at all. So just take the Prius and be happy about it. Okay, well, let's talk about people that are not happy. There are a lot of Republicans that are not happy that continuing resolution passed, right? And they accurately explain that this was the same thing that they were opposed to with McCarthy and last year when it was presented by Nancy Pelosi and all those sorts of things. Chip Roy, we know Chip Roy, right? He's a Texas congressman, I think Austin, maybe not Austin, but he's from Texas. He was on with Fox News explaining why he hates and voted against the continuing resolution. So here's a little bit. It's going to be all Chip Roy. I love the guy.
Oppose the continuing resolution, the so-called extension of funding, which will continue the Nancy Pelosi spending levels, the Nancy Pelosi, policy priorities, which you saw Congresswoman Jayapal, the head of the Progressive Caucus, out applauding the fact that we're going to continue to spend at 2023 levels. That is the $1.7 trillion omnibus bill that Republicans roundly opposed last year. And now we have all of the credible evidence with Moody's last week threatening the downgrade with respect to the outlook, where we're seeing in terms of the Treasury auction last week, which was absolutely abysmal, because we know that under this administration, we've raised interest rates some 500 basis points. And for every 100 basis points, every 1%, you get about $180 billion of additional interest expense. We are cratering our economy by spending ourselves into oblivion, and we should stop that. Republicans ran on cutting spending, and we're going to continue to kick the can down the road. Now, look, I applaud not having, the speaker's position of not having an omnibus bill before Christmas. But the best way to do that is just tell Schumer no. You don't have to have some magic tricks to do that. Just tell Schumer no. You're not going to have an omnibus before Christmas, instead of doing this bill where we kick it down to January and we pile the farm bill on top of it and spend $500 billion, about $400 billion, by January to continue to rack up debt.
So Chip Roy, as you could tell, is very clear on why he's opposed to it. And I get it, right? I don't agree with it. You pay your bills. We should keep the government going. I do agree with kicking the can down the road is ridiculous, but you do need Democrats. Now, the thing I love about Chip Roy and all, like he made the rounds yesterday, and other like Marjorie Taylor Greene has done it too. When they say things out loud, the Democrats can just campaign on this. This is a clip I will bet dollars to donuts some Democrat, maybe Biden, maybe somebody else, will use to say why they should vote against Republicans.
One thing. I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, that I can go campaign on and say we did. One. Anybody sitting in the complex, if you want to come down to the floor and come explain to me one material, meaningful, significant thing the Republican majority has done besides, well, I guess it's not as bad as the Democrats.
So after he did that, he also went on to talk about the issues like border security and things like that. Let's play a little bit more from Chip Roy. Here we go.
With due respect to former President Trump, they sure as hell didn't get border security done when we had the White House and the House and the Senate. Nothing. Talked a big game about building a wall and having Mexico pay for it. Ain't no wall, and Mexico didn't pay for it. And we didn't pass any border security. We had Good Lat 1 and Good Lat 2. Nobody in America knows what the hell those are, but what they know is our border's wide open.
So after this happened, as is typical when Republicans do not fall in line, Chip Roy was called a rhino, a Republican in name only. He went on, and I was trying to see what, so this
for calling
Desiree
out the
Foreman,
truth?
Yeah. So he was on this show from the Texas one. I don't know what show he was on, but he uses foul language. So I'm just going to prepare you right now. But he's pissed because after he made all those statements on the floor that I just played for you, people went on social media, were calling him out, saying he's a rhino, a Texas congressman. Okay, like just give me a freaking break. But that's the Republican way. If you don't fall in line with whatever ridiculous flip-flopping that we do, you're a rhino. Here is a very, very upset Chip Roy.
Brothers and sisters, particularly in the, MAGA camp, I think, particularly enjoy the circular firing squad. You want to come at me and call me a rhino? You can kiss my ass. Look, I'm fighting for limited government conservatism. I have laid it all on the line. I've not seen my family but for 2 days in the last 30 days. You go around talking your big game and you thumping your chest on Twitter. Yeah, come to my office and come have a debate, mother. You know why? Because I'm standing up for this country every single day. And Steve, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to go to a nunnery. Because God damn it, there were people who were buried over in Normandy who deserve us to stand up for what they fought for. So that's what I'm going to do. And all of you fuckers out there who are out here saying what you're saying out on social media, you stick it. I'm going to go down to the floor and do my job, and I'm going to stand up for the people who fought for this country. And I'm going to do it the way I think is right for the people that I represent. That's what I think. What happened to a country where we can't even have order?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know what Ron DeSantis should be talking about as being the governor who can restore order as president of the United States?
Well, so very, very upset Chip Roy is. Although, you know, he should be. His party sucks.
Yeah.
They don't get anything done. They don't get anything done when they're in power. They sure as hell obviously don't get anything done.
They can't even agree on who their leader should be.
I mean, come on. Yeah, I saw yesterday that they're like, okay, we're going to let Johnson do whatever he needs to with the CR. But after January, if it doesn't work out in our favor, and then we're going to start all over again. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, things need to get done. Republicans are ineffectual. They don't get anything done. When they put out a plan, it sucks for most Americans, right? Or it's illegal, or it's just not legal. All right. It's and obviously not everything that they do. I'm going to pull back there, but they need Democrats. You need to reach across the aisle. Now, again, I love all this. I like this guy. Look, I don't like Chip Roy, but I like the fact that he's calling out the Republicans for the truth. I like that. I don't agree with him politically or on his platform necessarily, but hands down, am I cracking up about it? It's just, it's so, if our country wasn't hanging in the balance with this, I wouldn't care too much. But we do. We need to get our military handled. We need to do all of these things. And if we can't, then we hurt. It's something that really needs to be taken care of. Finally, one last kind of political story before, again, we will bring in Jefferson Graham in a few minutes. George Santos. Did you see the latest with George Santos?
Yeah, he's going to run. He's not finally saying, I'm not going to run.
He's finally announcing he will not run for re-election. This is after an ethics report on him stated that they would move to expel Santos from the House. And then minutes after that news broke, Santos announced on Twitter that he would not seek re-election. He's already pleaded guilty to 23 federal counts, including fraud and conspiracy. But he said on Twitter, quote, "It is a disgusting politicized smear that shows the depths of how low our federal government has sunk." Freaking break. Everyone who participated in this grave miscarriage of justice should all be ashamed of themselves. He said, "I will 100% continue to maintain my commitment to my conservative values in my remaining time in Congress." If you mean conservative values as in lying, cheating, stealing, sure. I totally believe that you're going to do this. I don't know. Manu Raju was reporting on this. Let me play a little bit of that report. But what Santos is accused of using that money, the campaign money for, is just cracking a lot of people up.
Yeah, that's right. Really looking at all aspects of his life, his conduct in his run-up to his campaign, alleging criminal misconduct, alleging and calling on the Justice Department to investigate further. So this is going beyond, it says, the indictments that George Santos is now facing, and something that he has pleaded not guilty to. Now, what we're learning now from our colleague Melanie Zanona is that Michael Guest, who's the chairman of the House Ethics Committee, a Republican from Mississippi, plans to introduce a resolution to expel George Santos from the House of Representatives. This is significant because up until now, it was initiated by Democrats to kick him out of the House amid all these allegations while the investigation was ongoing. Then it was New York Republican freshmen, people who wanted George Santos out of the delegation and simply were pushing for his expulsion. Both of those efforts failed. But now the Ethics Committee chairman putting his weight behind this in a real signal that he believes that the conduct that his committee, this bipartisan committee, has found should warrant George Santos being kicked out of the House. That would be such a rare and dramatic move in the United States House. Just 5 times in American history has a member been expelled from his seat. And the other members have been, 2 of them were convicted in a court of law. 3 others were working with the Confederacy, which is why they were expelled, showing you how rare this occurrence would in fact be. The question for a lot of these members is the fact that George Santos has not been convicted. He's pleaded not guilty to these allegations in the federal court. He's also yet to weigh in on these allegations in the House Ethics Committee, but if past his prologue, he likely will try to deny these charges as well. How will they respond if he is not convicted? But a significant move here by the chairman of the House Ethics Committee. He could file this resolution as soon as tomorrow. That means a vote would happen when they come back from recess in the last week of November into the early part of December.
All right. Thank you, Manu. I thought, hold on. I thought I was right. I guess I'm wrong about he had pleaded guilty to those charges. Oh, I'm sorry. Not guilty. I was like, I was surprised that he pleaded guilty. So not guilty to 23 federal counts of fraud. Yeah, he is fighting it. Now, what did he use that money for? Apparently, he used it to pay off his credit card debt, cosmetic procedures like Botox and stuff, trips to Atlantic City, and his OnlyFans account.
Hope it was worth it.
I mean, OnlyFans, you can rake in the money on OnlyFans. We talk about that all the time. Maybe he was like, you know what? I just wanted to run to gain attention for my OnlyFans account, right?
We're
like
1 step away from our feet in the pudding.
Exactly.
What's Nikki doing under her desk?
If you don't know what Kim's talking about, when we were talking about OnlyFans, I had made a statement that I was like, screw it. I was like, I'll just dip my feet in pudding if people want to pay me for it. And then a bunch of you, not you, but maybe, I don't know, started emailing me for it. And I was like, oh, I take that back.
Squishy, squishy.
No, it's not as if I won't do it or that there's anything wrong. Here's the truth. So you guys don't email me. I'm not going to do it. I can't. And not that I'm a celebrity, Kim. It's not. I just don't want somebody to be able to say, these are Nikki Medoro's feet in pudding. Like, I just can't.
Well, you know, it would be what you leave behind in all perpetuity on the internet. Like if anyone in 80 years, if they go, who was Nikki Medoro? Oh,
my pudding feet are gonna pop up. Like
she was that lady. She was the foot and pudding lady. Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with it. Like I'm not trying to. Again, I'm really not trying to like bash people that do that because again, you can make tons of money. Believe me, from the emails that some people have sent. I could make decent money, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I think I was making a joke and I was just like, yeah, sure. And then all of a sudden somebody was like, okay. And I was like, oh, wait. I was just kidding. So it's not going to happen, people.
Oh my.
Sorry to burst your bubble. It's really, really not going to happen.
Maybe anonymously.
I don't know. No, because I think the whole point, I don't know, the whole point, the way they found out was through the show. And I would assume, now I could be wrong. Maybe they don't care whose, but if you don't care whose feet it is, right?
Right.
Then just ask anybody in your life to do it. But I think there's a point of knowing that it's mine. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But I don't think anonymous.
I don't think it matters. I think
how would I send it to them anonymously? They requested it from me, and then all of a sudden they get some like socks or pudding in the mail. Like, no, they know it was me. I don't even try.
No, thank you.
Oh, on a completely different note, let's switch gears now for something completely different. The holidays are coming. If you want to take family photos, you know, it can be hard, honestly, to get a photographer, you know, during certain times towards the end of the year, because I would assume that this is a busy time for photographers for family portraits. Some people, this is the only time they get all the family together. So they want to take a family portrait.
They want it for the Christmas
cards or something like that. Right. And so some of you are like, I'll just try to take the picture myself. I have this delusion myself, but it doesn't have to be a delusion, because we have the expert on taking photos with just the device in your hand, of course, which is your phone. And that, of course, is our friend Jefferson Graham from Photowalks TV. Hello, Jefferson. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. So now let's get into this, because you sent me a number of photos of what people do right and what people do wrong. So before we even get that situated, is there any sort of equipment that people should have already on hand if they're really seriously wanting to take a nice family photo during Thanksgiving?
A smartphone would go a long way. Yeah.
Well, yes.
I think that's pretty much all they need. If they could swing it and get one of my beautiful little selfie sticks that doubles into a tripod, it sells for $25. Today is Thursday. We have a week. So if you could order it on Amazon, you'll have it in time and you could do great with this. $25 selfie stick.
I do like that selfie stick. I got that for me. I'm going to tell you one thing though that I don't like about that selfie stick.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't like that I always have to have my phone in landscape mode. And I don't like the fact, unless I'm wrong, I mean, I only have to have it in landscape mode. I can't have it like this, which sometimes I would want to do. Well, then you can't use the tripod, right? So, yeah, it really has to do with how it holds the phone and it doesn't bend. So if I wanted to take a picture of myself, I can't hold it and take a picture of myself. Unless I'm doing it wrong.
You could buy adapters and stick it on.
Okay.
You could, yeah. So if you really want to go for it, if you really want to go for it, I can get you an adapter. But the people watching don't have to use the selfie stick. You know, I'm thinking Thanksgiving, it's a week from today. What are you going to have? Over 8 people, 10 people, 12 people, 4 people, whatever. There's always somebody there that could actually just hold the camera up and do the picture. And you know, if not, stack of books.
Yeah, that's true. Stack of books. That always works. I've used that method many, many times. Okay. Now, which do you think, how should I phrase this? Indoor or outdoor do you prefer?
Well, always going to be outdoor because the lighting is going to be better outdoor, but I don't know. You know, the people that are watching from your California base, we have nothing to worry about because we've got outdoor. Right. Yeah. So that's done. People in Maine, people in Massachusetts, I don't know. But how many of your listeners are there?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have them all over the country, but yeah, I think a lot of us live here in California where it's absolutely gorgeous. So
yeah, and it did rain where I live yesterday. I don't know about you guys.
I woke up this morning and it was wet. Yeah.
But that's okay because wet weather is beautiful. So let's start with the outdoor portrait. You bring the people outside. I'm assuming you don't have this. You're just going to have somebody of the group take the picture because you're probably not going to get the whole group unless you have a tripod. If you have a tripod, stick the phone on top of the tripod. You're going to need a, let's do a better job with this, but this little attachment sells for $20. It's called a smartphone tripod mount. Manfrotto. Go to my newsletter. I've got my big list on there, jeffersongraham.substack.com, or just type in smartphone tripod mount and you stick it in a tripod. You could buy a tripod as cheap as $20. And I'm not kidding either. $20. Because I did it when I was doing my time-lapse experiment. How cheap could I go? Amazon Basics, $20 tripod. By that and the tripod mount, you're golden. Stick the timer on, which is in your camera app settings, whatever phone you have, it's there. And then just do your 10-second exposure and run into position. You could do everybody standing there with their arms around each other in a line. You could do that. What I recommend, if you can, is that's that one. What I recommend is if you got a large group, use chairs to layer your shot like I did right there. You put the grandparents up front and I put the parents right behind and the kids right behind, wrap them around. And I think that's a pretty nice way to do a family group, whether that's outside or inside. You could do it either way.
Yeah. And then this is an example of bad. Like you can't see the woman in pink behind grandpa's head. And I guess that really has to depend on if obviously if you're taking the picture yourself with the timer, you really have to look and see, hey, can we see everybody's face? Is everybody lined up in that sort of way? But you also, which is really obvious, but a good thing to keep in mind, take lots of pictures. Like the woman's eyes are closed in this picture. And things like that.
I did all these on purpose, obviously. Yeah, but one thing I know from doing family photos through the years is that there is a whole lot of people who like to hide in the back and they think that's okay. And it's not okay. Because you can't see them. Look at the extra room I have in this shot, which is of, 6 people? 6 people. I have plenty of room. I could have put the kids on both ends and kept going. And most people have plenty of room. You don't have to hide.
Right. But some, how do you deal with as a photographer? That's a really good question. I would imagine that some people want to hide, maybe they don't want their body to show, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or they're shorter or taller and they don't like how they look if they're closer to the camera. So what kind of advice do you have for how to stage people when it's not like grandparents or parents, but just physically how they look?
Well, if you are large, you're allowed to go a little behind somebody, but I need to see your face.
Yeah.
Hiding behind somebody. And then the other thing that all the photographers need to know is if they're going to do that, you need to step up on a chair and look down at them. You'll have a much easier shot at seeing everybody's face.
And then what do you often line people, like, let's say we're doing this picture again. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're not too different in height, but a little bit taller on the end. Or the grandfather, I guess, is the tallest in that picture. Is it better to have tall people on the ends, in the middle,
Yes.
scattered about? Which is the best way?
Yeah. And if I was doing it all over again, the grandfather would be switching with his grandson. I think,
tall on the end.
Well, not just that, but grandparents bookending the family.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Would make more sense to me. The other thing, I mean, as somebody who's done a lot of weddings, you put her side on that side, and you don't see my hands. You see his side on one end, and then her side on the other, and then you blend the families together.
I see. Okay, let's move inside. Okay, I think the hard thing I find, I have this picture. I don't have it up right now, but I have this picture, an old picture of me and my niece, and I remember wanting to take this picture because we both look really cute. This was years ago. And I wanted a picture of us together. And I remember I kept taking a picture and it was dark. It was dark. That I ended up like grabbing her and just going straight to the backyard door because that was the best light. That's what we need to look at. Like this picture, I feel like if they would have just turned around,
yes,
it would have been way better, right? And somebody was outside taking the picture.
And again, this was all done on purpose.
Yes,
but,
of course.
If you take a picture of somebody in front of a window, the camera will expose for the window, not for their face. You have the shot where I turned them around. All I did was turn them around. That's that. It's pretty simple. It's an easy thing to do. I will say that the phones have gotten better. The cameras have gotten better about this problem, but it is a problem. And, our faces look best when we are lit by window light. It's the softest light. It comes through the glass and it's really beautiful. And if you can do it without too many distractions in the background, I say go for it.
Yeah. Now let's see. If you're using a selfie stick or you're using books or something like that, line of sight, eye level is important. So this looks like they just kind of propped up the phone. I'm just going to guess. Like you prop up the phone.
Right.
And you're just leaning it, but it's a little down. They didn't put it up on any books.
Yeah. All you have to do is take 10 books, stack them on top of each other, and then the last book on top, have a little leeway there so you can lean the phone against it without it falling over. Right. And then you're eye level. Yeah. And eye level is going to win every time. Now, this is not, I probably should have cropped it a little bit so it would have been a little tighter on the family without the excess, but anybody could easily do that. That's an easy thing. They took this picture. I didn't take this picture. They took it. So.
Which is a good example of what you can do with your own phone, right? I mean, it's something where if you're all together, you shouldn't miss out on the opportunity to take these types of pictures just because you don't think that you could take a professional picture. Okay, so we've gone over a tripod helps. It's not necessary. Obviously, you need a smartphone. Anything else? Any apps or anything that you think that you would advise people to use?
There's a great app on the iPhone. It's on the main screen. And it's called Camera. It's called the Camera app. It will do everything you want it to do. On a Galaxy, they also have a great app. It's also called Camera. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much all they need. That's it, period. Right. Oh, the trick is taking it in the right position, not having people hiding behind others, putting the grandparents up front, and if you have a large family, use chairs. So, think about the classic portraiture of the 1900s. They were always in chairs, and that was for a reason, right?
Yeah. A lot of those people take those, those timely pictures, old timey pictures. They're always sitting, and then some standing in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's only 3 of you, it's a different story. But most Thanksgiving, I'm thinking of 8 people, 10 people, 12 people,
right? Exactly,
something like that. If it's 4 of you, and then the other thing is with the different heights from everybody. I always try to line people up so that they're at least close by, so that they're not towering over or just looking weird. And you could always crop it to make it look right. But like if there was a family and the parents are in their 30s and 40s and they've got a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, well, try to get them down to the 4-year-old level. Whether that the other thing I didn't mention, we mentioned chairs. I use it for lining up, but also the family that's odd sizes. If we put 4 chairs together and sit them all together,
it's a good idea.
They're the same height.
Right, exactly. And that's a good idea. Would you advise, so, I mean, just like you said, get them all to the 4-year-old heights, then I would imagine that either the 4-year-old or the tall people, you either go to the extreme shortest or you go to the extreme tallest of who you choose to sit in the chair.
Well, it would be the extreme shortest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And also sitting on the floor. You could all sit on the floor together.
I'm not going to sit on the floor.
Come on.
I'm not Gavin Newsom and what's her face. No, I don't know. I like the idea of taking a picture though, and I think that more people should do this. Was I right in your introduction that this is a busy time for photographers to take family portraits?
Very busy. I get calls every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Jefferson
also where I live, they like to have their pictures taken at the beach, right?
Well, I mean, you do live in paradise. Absolutely. You live in paradise.
What do you think of matchy, where everybody wears the same sweater or everybody wears the same like everybody in red, everybody in blue?
Let's put it this way. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I've been on the other side of the camera, but if people want to show up how they show up, that's their business. All I ask is please no plaid.
Oh, that's a good point. Any color that works better in that sort of situation, even if you don't like it?
That sort of depends where you are. And, but for the beach pictures that I've done many, many times, they show up in lumberjack shirts, just doesn't do it.
No, white. I always say, if you're going to do the beach, do the traditional white shirt, blue jeans, something that goes with the beach, right? Like blues. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
I've never done that. The last green we wore last time, I think.
How do you guys like the vest? Because I put the vest on for you guys today.
Oh, it's very nice. Is that your Thanksgiving maybe fancy schmancy outfit?
It's your I'm
gonna wear. I'm thinking of wearing it to San Francisco next week. What do you think?
Oh yes, is it next? I thought the week after.
It's a week from Sunday.
Yeah, so not next week, the week after. If I'm up there, I'm going to try to make it work.
I have a feeling you're not going to be there. I just have this sense.
Well, we don't know yet. I haven't gotten my schedule yet, but we'll figure it out. Now, next Thursday, there's not going to be a live show. It's Thanksgiving. I will be off. Kim is going to be off this show. I don't know the rest of her schedule. So when you are at your Thanksgiving dinner, if anybody out there is going to take these tips and take a family portrait, send them to me. And then we'll discuss them with Jefferson Graham after and see, what do you think? So we'll get a professional's eye on it. So here's my email address, theNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. Email them to me. We'll show them on the show. And that'll be a great time. So have a fabulous Thanksgiving, my friend. Yay. And we'll talk to you. If I don't see you, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Can I say one quick little plug?
Of course.
I'm going to be live today at 5:00 California time on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Photowalks TV, talking about this very subject in more depth. If you haven't gotten enough already, we're going to talk about it some more, and taking your questions about cameras and photography and Black Friday and tech stuff and whatever's on your mind.
That is perfect. And again, the link to his show is in our show notes for Photowalks TV, 5:00 our time today. All right, Jefferson, have a fabulous Thanksgiving, and thank you so much for always coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so are you gonna try to take some family portraits this Christmas or this Thanksgiving?
Probably not. No.
Don't you get all your family together for Thanksgiving though?
No, it's my one free holiday.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. That's right. Now I think I'm gonna try. Black goth beach photo. That would be quite interesting. I actually don't mind something like that, like a little bit different, right? It's like just all in black, heavy makeup on the beach. Not that typical kind of like what I was describing. I know, Chris, a week from today is Thanksgiving. We already have our turkey. It's in the fridge. We got it from Costco a couple days ago. So I think we're going to brine it My husband's going to make it, and we're going to have all the family over. We're going to christen the house for our first holiday. Yeah, I'm very, very excited. It just, I got to clean every morning. I wake up and I'm like, do I do the deep clean today or do I wait until next week? Because I just look around. I'm like, geez, Louise. But yes, I got to get the house ready to go. Can I pay anybody else to do it? Anybody?
I would say
want to do it?
2 days before, probably, because then
they'll mess it up.
You can put the fear of God in them and say, listen, this house is clean for Thanksgiving. You mess it up, you're cleaning it up.
You're cleaning it, yeah. My daughter's making a cake yesterday, and I'm like, what? Everything's everywhere now.
If you do it too early, then it's going to get messy again. And so maybe the deep clean is done, but then you have to go back through everything.
I know. I mean, obviously, like the kitchen counter and everything gets cleaned daily after you do stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, my table, I've switched out the Halloween to the more, fall Thanksgiving type of thing. But yeah, I'm excited. Honey baked pamphlet on the kitchen table, ready for early pickup next Thursday. I love me some honey baked ham. Now,
yeah, so good.
Do they do a honey baked? They don't do a honey baked turkey though. It's ham that you're then having.
It's
ham.
Ham.
It's always ham. It's never turkey. Yeah.
No.
We're gonna cook it. I think my husband has decided he's going to barbecue it. So with a little bit of smoke. I don't like it to be too smoked. One year we had and it wasn't burnt, but we had like a black turkey because it was that heavily smoked. It was delicious, but it was black. It was so good. Oh yeah, they do have turkey. Wes's honey baked does have turkey.
Oh,
I don't know if I want honey. Well, honey roasted turkey's good, so I could see that being yummy.
I've only picked up a ham from there.
I've only had ham, and I love their ham. Except the line's usually out the door, and then every time I want to get one, my husband's like, "We could just make the glaze ourselves." It's not the same though. Honey baked has it on lock. Smoked turkey breast and whole smoked turkey, I believe. Yum. I'm getting hungry now. Hungry.
Another vote for honey baked turkey from Sandy.
There you go. No, so we're going to probably have prime rib for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, one of those. And I think that's and then I think we might have ham one of the other days. So all this talk about food is making me hungry. Okay, let's do some headlines with Kim. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about 10 big ideas that have been laid out to improve San Francisco. And then I'll remind you about one of my favorite things that San Francisco has ever done. And Kim will remember it. I'll have some pictures from back then. And it was literally one of the best things, goes down in history as one of the best things, I think, that San Francisco did as a community. So that's coming up. Click the thumbs up button, show your support for the show because we appreciate it each and every time. And here's some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
An update now on the situation on the Bay Bridge. It was a coordinated protest on the Bay Bridge. Pro-Palestine protesters shut down all westbound lanes of Bay Bridge traffic in San Francisco.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
You can't play it too many times. I love it, love it, love it.
I apologize. They always hit that stupid loop button, and that's why it goes. I apologize.
Like their settings should be the loop off, not
it should default to off.
It defaults to on, and it gets me every time.
Sorry,
everybody.
Go ahead. There you go.
So, yes, big protest, Bay Bridge. We've been following the story all morning. The protesters in support of Palestine, or not of Hamas, but of the Palestinian people affected by war. They went to the Bay Bridge. They chained themselves to cars, and they shut down all traffic westbound 80 headed into San Francisco. Well, many linked arms. They tied themselves to cars. Others staged a die-in, laid down on the ground to represent the reported 12,000 people who have died in this war between Israel and Hamas. Some protesters parked the cars, right? You saw the line of cars, and then threw the keys into the bay. Boom. I know. Well, yes.
Then they can take your car. Believe me, there are tow trucks that can move cars without keys. That's kind of what tow trucks do.
It takes longer though, right?
It's more take of a long.
Pain.
Well,
yeah.
Don't be it.
I mean, imagine if you. I'm sorry, get in my blanket. I'll situate it. Imagine if you locked your car, rolled up the windows, locked the car, and then threw the keys in the bay. It would take the tow truck driver longer, right?
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Unless, of course, you just busted out the windows. You know how they do that if you park in front of a fire hydrant? They can just totally bust out your windows. There you go.
Chief Ezri Beauchamp with the California Highway Patrol says at least 50 people have been arrested and 15 cars towed. Just like you said, Nikki. He says they will press all the charges they can, working with the district attorney. No word on when the bridge will be completely reopened. The Arab Resource and Organizing Center organized this protest, demanding a ceasefire, calling out President Biden to do more for Palestinians. President Biden, of course, in San Francisco for the APEC summit.
Yeah.
And so everybody arrested and the cars towed and they're trying to get things back open at the Bay Bridge.
And just a reminder that tomorrow, near the top of the show, around 9:15, 9:10, 9:15, John Rothman's going to join us for a political roundup. We're going to try to make that a kind of a regular segment on Fridays to kind of look back and look forward to what we can expect. And of course, we're going to touch on APEC and these protests calling for a ceasefire. And while and again, I'm not an expert in this topic at all, but I'm interested to hear John's opinion about the protests here in the United States. I know he has strong feelings for Israel. I completely understand that. But when people just want the killing to stop, how does that happen, right? I mean, realistically, like, I respect people's right to protest. And again, we'll talk about this on tomorrow's show and more in depth. I understand people's right to protest. This situation seems like a no-win, right? It's a no-win. Hamas attacking Israel, Israel's response, and from what the information that we're gathering, and I understand the complications in that alone, the way that it looks to me is Hamas using innocent Palestinians as a human shield for what they want to do, right? And how do you protect innocent lives, innocent Palestinian lives? So that's going to be my question to John Rothman tomorrow: is how do you do that politically if you're President Biden, right? It's very complicated. So again, near the top of the show tomorrow, we'll have that discussion.
San Francisco's biggest gathering of world leaders in almost 80 years is now winding down. President Biden will give a speech at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, known as APEC. Tomorrow, he is scheduled to meet with the president of Mexico before he returns home. He sat down with China's president yesterday. Both agreed to resume military talks and to fight fentanyl production as well. Protesters tried again to shut down the conference by forming human blockades at Mission and Fifth, other entrances as well, but cars had to be rerouted in this area. In San Francisco, there is a verdict watch in place in the attack on former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. Prosecutors say she was the target, but she wasn't home. The suspects so then went after the husband, Paul Pelosi, with a hammer. David DePape admitting hitting him and apologizing when he took the stand Tuesday. Both sides gave closing arguments yesterday, so now the jury has to decide if this was a federal crime. DePape still faces a second trial on state charges as well.
Yeah, I don't know how closely we need to watch that. He's going to be found guilty. So I would be shocked if he wasn't.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that seems obvious.
The Senate has passed a stopgap bill to fund the government and avoid a shutdown. Yesterday's vote, 87-11. Only 60 votes needed to pass, so they cleared that with no problem. This will now head to President Biden's desk to be signed. And again, it's just a stopgap measure. It's not full funding. It's just for now. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie slamming Donald Trump over his recent rhetoric. Christie commented on Trump's remarks in New Hampshire that he would root out radical left thugs that live like vermin if reelected. Christie said Trump's use of language could incite people to weaponize the things that he is saying.
Yep. I mean, he knows what he's saying.
He does.
He knows what he's saying. So stop. Exactly.
He even said he hopes that his followers will act on his words. He said this. He said this.
He's dangerous. He's dangerous.
In other Bay Area news, some new developments in the mystery at Lake Merritt. Oakland police have identified this man who was found stuffed inside of a suitcase as Gabriel Raimundo. A cleanup crew pulled him out of the water on Halloween. It says the body was wrapped in a sheet. Police know very little about this 23-year-old victim. They're looking for any information on where he lived, where he worked, how he died. Again, his name is Gabriel Raimundo. They're hoping a $10,000 reward reward will help lead to an arrest in this case.
What I found interesting is that the picture, and I apologize, I don't have it up. The picture that they showed looked like it was a booking photo. So I think they know this guy. Like it wasn't a flattering like personal photo. It looked like a booking photo. So I'm not saying that obviously I feel for the guy. He's obviously murdered. But yeah, I think they know this person. So hopefully at the very least it leads to somebody that the person that did this or people that did this.
It's I guess it's hard to know what a lot of evidence wiped away when you have someone shoved in a suitcase and then put into water. So they're operating from a deficit. But you talked about that photo. Here it is, kind of fuzzy, but there's Gabriel Gomez Raimundo. And you're right.
I mean, that's a booking photo.
That's a booking photo. That's
well,
right.
Look at there's the Santos. I mean, they posted it, but yeah, that's two different ones. So one has messy hair, the other has shorter hair. I just feel like he's known to officers. And so if he's known, then maybe the people that may have done this are known.
Yeah. So if you know him or you have any information, they're looking for that information. A Trader Joe's in Oakland busy making repairs after a car slammed right into the store.
Yeah.
It all happened early yesterday, right before sunrise. Police say thieves smashed into the building so they could steal items inside. I'm telling you, the burglary suspects were gone by the time officers arrived. No word as to all the stuff they made off with. I know what they wanted. They wanted all the holiday goods, right? They went to the cookie aisle.
Well, I mean, they wanted all those, what is it? The popcorns and all those little specialty Trader Joe's treats. There you go.
How dare you guys steal the Trader? You know what? And the next thing that's going to happen, they're going to close down the Trader Joe's because
just put the little barriers that they put in front of gas stations so cars can't go through. That's what you have to do.
Say sayonara to all the cruise driverless cars in San Francisco.
Sayonara, sucker.
That's right. The company had been testing them with a supervisor behind the wheel, which is only what the DMV allowed. The manual fleet was suspended from city streets after state regulators started investigating safety concerns. In the latest update, though, Cruise says all the cars will be removed while they look into last month's crash. That was where the lady was hit by a driver.
And then dragged.
And then thrown into the path of this Cruise vehicle and dragged. Yeah, it's unknown if or when the problems will be fixed to get those permits reinstated. But as of now, Cruise is off of San Francisco streets.
Yeah, and I mentioned this before. I was talking to a colleague at KCBS, and they were saying Google, with their Waymo cars, they put the fear of God into Google workers. They're like, all the safety, all these sorts of things that Cruise obviously did not emulate. So
I still maintain you can't think of everything, every scenario.
And that's why you shouldn't have freaking robots driving your car.
That's right. Because you can't program it for everything. Because it's impossible to think of everything. There's always an accident where you're like, well, that's a new one, right?
Exactly.
Baseball fans are just hours away from knowing the fate of the Oakland A's. Major League Baseball owners will vote today on the team moving
voted.
to Las Vegas.
They voted unanimously. They're out.
It's out. Yeah.
Yeah, it happened.
Oh, they were looking for 23 of the 30 owners that needed to be in favor for this to happen. Mayor Sheng Tao sent a letter last week asking them to vote no, saying the city has tripled the amount of public funding for a new ballpark. Council members also passed a resolution to reaffirm support for the team to stay. And you're saying my story is outdated? That's it?
So they voted unanimously. They voted unanimously to. I was really hoping that they wouldn't have, but now what we get to focus on is what are the Oakland A's going to do between now and when the stadium is built in Las Vegas, because they have nowhere to play. Yeah. And so to play in Oakland, Sheng Tao, I think I heard this morning, she wants discussion to happen where they might get an expansion team in Oakland or Vegas, they get to keep the A's name, which is never going to happen. But so they have to work. If you want to stay, then you have to give us something.
Why can't they just rent out the Coliseum for the next year or so?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what other options there are, but maybe I would be completely bitter and be like, no. That's what I would be bitter.
You want out? Then you get out.
There's a freaking door. You didn't want to be here. Oh, now you need something from me. Screw you, Fisher. Bye. No, I'd be so bitter. You do not want me in charge of the decision making on this. at all. I'd be pissed.
You get out right now.
I don't care. Like
I'm
not a baseball
hit you
fan.
where the good Lord split you.
Exactly. Like, how dare you? And now, you need something from me now? After all the negotiations, after all the money we put in, after all the, machinations that we went through just to get the Howard Terminal idea to you. We're in the middle of freaking negotiations and you always were going to go to Vegas. Screw you. But of course the fans might want it, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we saw her thawed out of her block of ice. We saw that she's ready for it. And now Mariah Carey is starting her holiday tour in California. Now it's become a tour. Carey's Merry Christmas One and All tour kicked off in Highland last night.
Really?
The Long Island native will visit 13 cities, including Detroit, Boston, New York City. She's in Los Angeles tomorrow, Friday, and Sunday. In video post, Carey says Santa himself requested the tour, and she is happy to oblige.
I mean, does she, and forgive me because I used to be a Mariah Carey, a bigger Mariah Carey fan. Is she still putting out new music?
I think this is just the holiday songs.
No, I know, but is she putting out new music? Besides this, what else is she doing?
I haven't been paying attention to.
So apparently
Mariah Carey's new music. Yeah.
If anybody knows, I could of course Google it. But I'm just saying, like, besides the Christmas song and Christmas, not saying she's still not talented, but it seems like Christmas and New Year's is her bag, and then after that, it's like, where are you, Mariah? Like, are you putting out any music?
She doesn't really have to. I mean, you think about all the hits she's had over the years.
Yeah.
She's loaded and probably doesn't ever have to work again in her life. So that she's gracing us with the holiday tour.
I mean, the presents. Yeah, I guess you're right.
We should all be grateful. Ho, ho,
We're
ho.
not worthy.
This report sponsored by you. And I have to say, I'm so, so, so thankful to the people that have already stepped up to support us today. And that includes Wes with a $5 super sticker, rock on. Ricky O'Bear with a $20 super sticker who says, love your show, ladies. Always having a good time. Always interesting topics for the chat conversation. Ricky O'Bear, you're so nice. Thank you. Joe Fong came forward with a $10 super sticker. Joe Fong, happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Yes.
And Lulu Lancaster with $20. Lulu, I love your name and thank you.
And we can't forget JR.
Oh, and JR. Oh, I don't see that one there. JR donating again today so Kim can pay her PG&E bill and an extra $5 to keep her from hitting end stream. Okay.
This happened yesterday.
I could not be more sorry about that. I screwed up the whole show. Let me say that the power outage was caused yesterday in Petaluma by a crow that got tangled in the wires near Petaluma High School.
Ooh.
It was a bird. It was a bird into wires.
Died, I'm assuming?
I think it's a goner. Yeah. It zapped power all over the west side of town, all the way even far out into the country.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a big, big power outage. But thank you for that. I will take that money, and I need it to pay the new
rate hike that we're all
rate
getting.
hike.
Exactly.
That's right. We need that. So thank you.
Oh, geez. That's so
Please
funny.
find us at theNikkiMedoroShow.com. If you haven't signed up for the Patreon yet or the PayPal, we appreciate that. Of course, they take less than YouTube takes a big old cut of the super stickers. So it's always a great way to support the show at theNikkiMedoroShow.com. And if you want to email us, theNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com is a great way to get in touch with Nikki. And if you have a comment for me, she'll forward it on as well. And Doug throwing in a $5 super sticker at the last minute.
Doug.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for the support. We appreciate it. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you. Okay, so let's now. So we've been talking about APEC. It ends this weekend. I think it really ends Friday night, although it's technically lasts till Saturday. And everyone's saying, oh my God. Oh, Harry, $5 for the bird brain crow. The Counting Crows are not happy. Thank you, Harry. So I didn't realize this, but there is this project that's been going on. It's this 10 Big Ideas project, how to revitalize San Jose. Here's the one that was just recently getting attention. And the San Francisco Chronicle has been covering it. And I want to make sure the proposal is through the city. The Metropolitan Transportation Commission is working on it. Like all kinds of city agencies are working on these. Okay. And they reached out to the community for solutions to problems. And then they chose like the 10 best ones, I guess. So here's one of the problems. The San Francisco cannot regain its economic footing without a downtown revival, but many obstacles stand in the way. Remote work, obviously people aren't commuting to the downtown area, especially from the suburbs. And obviously, if you own a restaurant or any other downtown business, you need to bring people on, and we need people to ride public transportation to help fund that. Here's the solution that's underway, apparently. They're starting something called a consumer rewards program called Downtown Dollars. Now, you guys, let me know what you think about this. I like it. I like it. Now, am I going to ride BART? I don't think so. Or any other Bay Area transit system, perhaps, because I am taking my kids to San Francisco on Saturday. So it's just a jumpstart recovery. They propose a consumer rewards program called Downtown Dollars. It will incentivize people to spend money downtown through discounted purchases and to ride public transportation. And here is how it would work. For every $1 that you spend with a Clipper card on Bay Area Transit, you receive $1 for purchases at businesses that sign on to the program. So let's just say, for instance, for me, it would be pretty significant for me and my children's, because of what? If I took Caltrain from San Jose to San Francisco, it costs me between $25, I think, and $30 per person.
Oh.
Now I'm going to get, if we go to one participating business, $100 discount on something, or you know what I'm saying? So it includes bars, restaurants, other retail establishments. So this is the logistics. The riders' Downtown Dollars might be loaded onto the Clipper card, and then then they tap their Clipper card at the business to show the value, and then they'd have an eligible equivalent discount. Now, I would assume probably it's, maybe you probably can't combine. If I went to a restaurant and I spent $100 and then I combined all of ours together for $100, I don't know if that would necessarily work, but maybe. What do you think of this idea? A discount card. You have to use public transportation to get to San Francisco, but then once you're there, when you visit participating retailers, you get that $1 back in a discount.
I think it'll bring people to the city.
I think so too. I think it's a great idea. I think people love discounts. This is a great way, especially during this time of year. Look, if you get retailers that are trying to sell things for the holidays, that hands down works, and they can get a discount. Here's a couple other plans. I won't go through all 10 of them, but here's another one. Let's see. This one is a plan regarding San Francisco's homeless shelters. The problem is there's more than 4,000 people living unsheltered on the city streets. With housing expensive, shelters offer a temporary place, but the first step of getting them is getting them off of the streets. The solution that's being proposed is when people experiencing homelessness first leave the streets because they're exhausted and traumatized, they may have serious unmet primary health needs that require more support for substance use and mental illness. They wanted the plan is to create a stabilization center where people can first rest, address their medical and behavioral needs, instead of just sending them to the shelters and hoping somebody reaches out to them. So that's one idea. Let's see. SF could build affordable housing on land it already owns under this other plan that they have for housing. This proposal is that San Francisco would accelerate a financing model for housing development aimed at the middle income workforce. This is not suggesting reducing public resources. Instead, this pilot would be for a public-private model aimed at individuals and single parents that earn in the range of, if you're single, $50,000 to $75,000. If you're married, $70,000 to $150,000. And that would unlock more permanent, affordable housing for workers that kind of fall in that poor middle class, right? It's like, I make $100,000 a year.
And I'm still too poor to afford to live in the Bay Area.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the problem. And when you try to sell that mentality to people that don't live in California, they don't understand it.
No.
What do you mean you make six figures and you can't afford housing?
Right. They think we're nuts, right?
And we are. I mean, housing is insanely expensive. And I can't imagine how other people look at us. I just can't. So they said another idea, parklets staffed with officers. How about peacelets to forge trust with police. So this pilot program would call for the deployment of movable peacelets, mobile parklets designed to be placed near areas of disorder, staffed by police officers, community members, and service providers. The goal is threefold, according to the Chronicle: deter disorder in an immediate area by its presence, involve community members in guiding police strategies, and resource allocation in their neighborhoods, and to offer a safe environment for members of the public to interact with providers of helpful services. So basically, public safety is a responsibility of both the government and the community. And so these peacelets, which would help forge the trust building. This reminds me of Coffee with a Cop. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it reminds me of. It's like, okay, police officers are going to be at this Starbucks or whatever, and then you can go and ask them questions and interact. But these are going to be in areas in which people already see, I don't know, maybe there was an altercation, maybe there was a fight or something, somebody was arrested. You send them there, and then they have it out. What do you think about that one?
Seems to be kind of like a substation, right? Like a little mini substation in the
yeah,
parklet.
But I mean, it's like a parklet. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anything permanent because it would be movable, right?
So instead of like having officers, stationed in each city in a specific and permanent substation, you have them in a little outdoor hut, right? Where they're more accessible to people.
I guess there's no picture that I see of what they would look like, because obviously this is just a proposal. But
I'm
yeah,
thumbs downing
it's
on
a little.
that.
It's a little. It looks like those outdoor. When we had outdoor eating, like something like that, where cops are in there and people could come and express themselves. I have reservations also, simply because things can get heated. If you know where officers are, and there was already some sort of incident, let's say there, I could see people kind of going just to raise a ruckus.
Officers already have to worry about their safety and people taking pot shots at them. Remember in Oakland where people would just randomly shoot at police officers? They would call 911, have the officer come out, and they'd be a sitting duck. I don't know how that's going to work out. There's too many question marks on that.
Yeah. So that's just another idea. Now, again, there's a bunch of them. These are all ideas to kind of fix San Francisco. But the first one, the reason why I wanted to talk about that, the downtown dollars, I really like that idea. I am not a coupon clipper, but if it was already built in, like I'm going to San Francisco, I heard about this program, I signed up for it, I used my Clipper card, and then I had it planned where I was going to go to some of these retailers, hands down, I would use it. I would just really want to help revitalize a city that does mean so much to the Bay Area. I don't live in San Francisco. I work obviously in San Francisco, but I don't want it to be an eyesore anymore. I want it to come back. I want people's jobs to be secure. There's so many things that people remember and love about San Francisco, and they're experiencing it right now with APEC and the clean streets and the reduction in crime. But I'll add also an increase in policing, right?
Yeah.
And all these people are like, we shouldn't have so many police. Well, look at what happens when you do have a lot of law enforcement in one specific area and what kind of problems do go down. SF Tesla, it's a glorious scheme, Nikki. Free extra bucks on your Clipper card to use for shopping in downtown San Jose. Only hitch, nowhere to shop. Carl's Jr.'s gone. Walgreens move. Ross address left due to theft. Downtown San Jose is a bit of a ghost town. It can be. Let's see. I was just down there. What was I just down there? Oh, the Veterans Day Parade. We went down there and we were walking around kind of the old spaghetti factory, San Pedro Square area. I love that area. SF Tesla, downtown San Jose, San Pedro Square is so much fun. I've gone there recently, I think like a month or so ago. When there's some sort of organized event, they have shut down the street right there in front of parking, and it is awesome. So San Pedro Square is definitely where I would advise people to go. But then we have the SAP Center for concerts and things like that. The Google Village eventually will get built somewhere near there. But yeah, it's not. It definitely could use something like that. But there's tons of restaurants down there that I would use a discount for. Agent Kitty says, I might use it, but it wouldn't be the thing that made me go to San Francisco on purpose. Really? I mean, if you were going to, let's just say, especially during the holidays, right? You have plays you might want to go to. There might be some shows up there. If you can also, in addition to going up there for that, go to some other retailers and spend your discount dollars there, I would do it maybe. Randy, is Santana Row or hold on one second. Oh, hold on. My job. Okay, hold on. Randy said, is Santana Row or the businesses at Valley Fair going to participate? This is a San Francisco thing. This is I apologize if I was confusing people. This is just a San Francisco thing. It's not a all around type of plan. Sandy says my job is 1 block from San Pedro Square. I'm there right now. Oh, see. Okay, Sandy. Great. So if you're down there, let me know in the comments, what has business been like? Now, I say San Pedro Square is often busy because it has the closed streets. It has all of those sorts of things. And I find it to be fun. There's bars, there's restaurants. At San Pedro Square, they also have like this indoor area where there's a bunch of different restaurants. They have Italian, they have pizza. They have so many different, like small, it kind of reminds me of like a food court type of area. Yeah. And in addition to when you walk down the street, there's all these other restaurants. I think it's genius.
Is that the area that's blocked off from traffic? Like it's San Pedro Square, but it's just a block. It doesn't really impact traffic that much because really the only parking that was there was a parking garage, which is still available to be. You could still get in there, and then the shutdown of the street happens right after you can get into the parking lot. So you can park right there, and it doesn't really impact traffic. Yeah. Oh, Casey, longtime friend. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. Thank you. Hi, Casey. But yeah, I like downtown San Jose there. Other parts of downtown San Jose can get kind of, and ghost towny like. Randy says, my only travel to San Francisco in recent times has been to the farmers market at the Ferry Building. Which is fun.
Mm-hmm. And inside the Ferry Building, when I went to go see Matthew McConaughey and get this picture right there, I know it surprised you guys when I said this before. I had never been inside the Ferry Building. I mean, there was no point for me to go like inside. There are so many shops and my God.
There's a point. There's a big point to go in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always just drove past it. What did I need to go there for? John says, I visited San Pedro Square recently when waiting for my daughter's flight to come in. Agreed. Really nice down there. And bonus, they have a tiki bar with good drinks. I have been in that bar.
I'm all for a tiki bar.
Last Mother's Day, my friend and I went there, and it's really a lot of fun. It's they have like a Sushi Confidential. That area, I mean, I know we don't get a lot of attention because Santana Row and all those, but that little area around San Pedro Square, they do very good business, at least in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to bring us back to one of my favorite memories from San Francisco, and it was something that Kim, I'm imagining you were working that day. It was a Friday. And it was one of those moments where I was like, wow, this came together. And there was some planning involved. I'm not going to lie. There was obviously some planning involved in getting this done. But who remembers, and I have a picture before I show you the update. Who remembers who this is? Do you remember who that is, Kim?
Is that Batkid?
That's Batkid. Yeah. Remember Batkid? So this is a picture of me, Brett Burkhart, and Beth Willon. This was the day that San Francisco turned into Gotham City. And I don't know about you, but that was the most amazing coming together of not just resources. It was through a Make-A-Wish wish. Miles. And let me just play you the report from ABC7 because that was him now. Yeah. He had just gotten healthy enough, and his wish was to become Batman.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's play this.
What if we take you back 10 years?
We begin this morning's broadcast with breaking news from San Francisco's Hall of Justice.
I bet you know the name now.
Remember that?
Batkid.
Yep.
A.A. Miles Scott. It has been 10 years since his wish transformed San Francisco.
I'm doing amazing. I would love to just say, yeah, I'm fine.
Now 50 years old, Miles plays football and baseball and helps on his family farm in Siskiyou County. He's come a long way since battling leukemia as a child.
I feel normal, but every time I think about it, it's like, wow, that actually happened. That was 4 years of my life.
Miles was just 5 years old when Make-A-Wish Greater Bay Area granted him his wish to be Batman.
That's it. You got football out.
Batman never really fades away. He's always coming back. he doesn't have all the superpowers or any superpowers, but he's still going out there and saving people. That's what I like about him. He gives people hope without any superpowers.
It sure felt like the city of San Francisco had superpowers on that wish day, as crowds cheered Miles on as he fought crime across the city.
I do remember one part in that whole day, going to that burger shop, looking down in the window, and they're all dancing with signs and stuff. I'm standing there by Batman. Why are they dancing? They're dancing for you.
Miles's wish come true. And granting wishes is what Make-A-Wish does for so many children facing a critical illness.
That brings them hope. You have the wish, you know you're done. Can't stop you anymore.
Oh my God, I get all teary-eyed.
My face is leaking.
Oh my God, it was so sweet. And honestly, he's 15. He's our daughter's age. Honestly, I get so, and when we talk about San Francisco, right? That was one of my favorite memories. I mean,
remember everyone came out on their lunch break and they did that to support him.
I can't believe it's been 10 years.
So sweet. Yeah, that was a good day. That was a great day reporting, and so emotional even now to look at how just remember the feeling of camaraderie and togetherness where everyone came out to do something nice for one little boy who needed his spirits lifted, and in doing that we all lifted each other's spirits at the same time. Oh, that was good stuff.
It was. And like when I heard that yesterday was the anniversary of it, I was like, oh, we have to go back. Because we all wanted to be part of it. I mean, that picture that I showed us, like everyone was sharing photos and saying, we love you back. I'm like, emotional. It was so, I know, Miss Organic, quit making us cry. It was so sweet. And it was such a great story. And nobody was poo-pooing it. You know what I mean? Exactly. And that's what I want to remind people of. You know, that should have been in the ad. I don't even know if it was. Remember that ad campaign that San Francisco's been doing? You know, Ed Lee, the late Ed Lee, you know, giving him the key to the city. It was just, it was such a moment. Really, and I just love looking back on something like that, because that was what made San Francisco special. It's what makes San Francisco to this day. I think all of us, if there was another Batkid, damn, we pulled out all the stops for that kid's wish. That was pretty amazing. Absolutely amazing.
The Square says, to the Bat Poles, the Bay Bridge needs us.
Exactly. Now what would happen? Absolutely.
Oh, before we go, I think we have a couple more people to
thank.
And
we
that
do.
includes Marilyn.
Love you, Marilyn. Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker.
So sweet. And Luis for $5, helping to keep Nikki's feet out of pudding.
You know, I'm telling you, I was quite shocked by the reaction to the option, but it's going to be a no. You guys can keep emailing me, but thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Louise. Let's read them all. Thank you to Harry for the $5, the bird-brained crow. Knocked out Kim's power yesterday. Doug with $5. Thank you so much. You guys have been so generous today. Lulu coming in with $20. Joe with another $10. Ricky,
Joe.
Loving the show. We love you guys being here, and thank you so much for the $20. $5 for Wes. Thank you. Wes. And then JR. Well, you want to call back to yesterday and $25. Kim, I don't think we'll ever make that mistake again. So we don't ever have to worry about it. It was an honest mistake. It happened.
We came back. Everyone. So sorry.
We came back. It was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, tomorrow we're going to have John Rothman doing a political roundup, so you won't want to miss that. Also, Tim Sika will join us for what to watch in the movies, including the new Hunger Games. I wonder if he's seen Trolls. What's the over-under on whether or not Tim's going to like Trolls more or the new Hunger Games more? What do you think?
He's going to like Hunger Games, and I bet he hasn't seen Trolls.
Oh, but I think, maybe. We'll say he doesn't send me the list until usually in the morning sometimes. I don't even know what he's watching today.
Maybe he's seen Trolls. I mean, it's a pretty big release.
It's a pretty big release. I mean, I would hope that he'd seen it because it's being released and, you know. But the Hunger Games has been getting some mixed reviews, which kind of scares me because I really want to see it. So that is all coming up tomorrow. You won't want to miss the show. Again, stay right here. Mark Thompson's on. And then the After Party Live with Kim McAllister. Have a fabulous day, my friends.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.